Who keeps ringing that bell? I can't concentrate. Prepare to be KO'd as we have a look at the new NECA Toys Rocky and Mickey Puppet Maquette Collection. Let's take the old tape measure to figure out how tall the maquettes are. Let's first start with Rocky. He is obviously a little bit taller. He stands, not counting the base, at 11 inches in height. Technically, you do need the base for these, so let's include the base as well. Rocky stands at a very impressive, very whopping 12 inches. Meanwhile, Mickey, if not counting the display stand, but you do really need the display stand to get him to stand once again, he's 9 inches in height. With the base, you're looking at 10 inches in height. The characters are based, obviously, on Rocky, with Rocky and Mickey respectively presented here in a more stylized nature. But in addition to that, they're also based on a late 90s campaign from the folks over at Lipton's. Lipton Brisk Iced Tea did a series of Maquette stop-motion animation commercials in which it had many different celebrities in their more memorable roles. They had a Frank Sinatra released one, they did a Bruce Lee, they did a Bruce Willis from Die Hard, and one of the earliest ones I remember, one of my personal favorites, being the Rocky here. If anybody has not had a chance to check out those old commercials, very cool. I'd like to see Brisk Iced Tea in some way bring those back. So NECA somehow got the idea, well, why don't we do those in versions of maquettes? And that's essentially what they've done. Now, to be fair, the cartoon, the commercial, I should say, was in black and white. NECA instead of giving us black and white, has rather given us a color treatment, which, to be fair, I kind of would have loved to see them release these in black and white rather than color. Just specifically because in the commercials were shot in black and white. I would have liked to have seen also these maquettes done in black and white as well. I think these are released to a very limited number of 1,500, so there's not really a whole lot of these circulating around. But we'll have a look at these individually. Both of them do come with a display base. I'll take Rocky off of his. They're not specifically one for the, one for Rocky, one for Mickey. You can use them for either or. As you can see, though, just by the nature of Rocky's very small, notable small feet and very large head, he doesn't really stand. Mickey doesn't also stand unless you use the display bases. I'm just going to lay Rocky down just for a second. I want to show you that the bases themselves are identical to one another except for the placement of the pegs. We'll take Mickey off of his. There we go. And again, yeah, he's not really going to stand. So like I said, the bases are identical to one another except for the placement of the pegs. The pegs are different and unique to one another. One not really necessarily for Rocky, one not necessarily for Mickey. It's just a case of how you want to have them displayed. The interesting thing about the base, though, is that I can't figure out what specifically the way that NECA had intended that the figures to be standing on top of them. The reasoning why I say that is you can see that Rocky has 2 peg holes on the undersides of his feet. None of the holes line up. Well, they don't line up in the sense that you can line up 2 together. If you place this one on the hole just doesn't line up. I don't know if you can see it or not, but the hole is off. The hole is off by about 1/2 of an inch, meaning that you can't connect 2 feet together. Even if you did the same on this side, we'll just unpeg him, plug him into here, and plug him up at the top. Again, I don't know if you can see it or not, but the hole is right here. The peg is not even close to that. It's actually closer to being to his foot. So I guess you really only intend on plugging one of them in, one of Rocky's feet in, and then you can have Mickey on his own display stand. But if you, based on the way that Mickey's got his hand, obviously is intended for Rocky's shoulder. So what you want to do, or what you can do, is you can place Mickey on here, just kind of on the stand itself. But he doesn't really connect to anything. If you spin him around, there's no real connecting right there. There's no connecting points in which either one of his feet can connect into place. So again, it's just a matter of moving it around until you get the desired look. I think if anything, I would have loved if NECA had simply just given us one large display base, a little bit bigger in size, and having the pegs specifically so that Mickey would stand in his peg, Rocky would stand in his. I like the fact that you do get two separate bases, but it really, for the way that the two are being displayed and sculpted, they go hand in hand. They're supposed to be together. So I probably would have made the base just a little bit bigger. Okay, so we'll go ahead and take Rocky off. I can't believe how big these are. I mean, you know a certain size when you read it, and you kind of can gauge how big that figure is based on the dimensions, but it's not until you actually get them physically in hand that you really see the amount of size and plastic that NECA put into these releases. Now, they're not posable in any way, shape, or form, even though it looks like it seemed as if you could move the arms, or move the fists, or move the head. You simply just can't do that. It's intended to be posed this way, same as Mickey is intended to be having his hand on top of Rocky's shoulder here. The sculpt here looks like it was taken exactly from the commercial, other than for the fact that, again, they didn't go the route of using a grayscale release of this, but instead giving us a full color treatment. Maybe down the road, for the fact that they've already got really these molds now in their library, really in their repertoire, they can go back and give us maybe an SDCC release. Maybe that's what they're planning on doing. But even like the back of the box shows these as being color grayscales. And here, no, that not be the case. It's full color. A nice, again, simplified version of Rocky Balboa. He looks like he's just been walloped. Yeah, who keeps ringing that bell? I can't concentrate. It's over, Rock. Nothing's over. Just give me something to drink. I love that commercial. What's neat about the face, though, above and beyond the fact it's got a really nice likeness to Sylvester Stallone, right down to this drooping lower lip. What's neat, though, is that you can actually take the head off, or at the very least, the back of his hairpiece off. And then if you reach around to the back, he's got independent joysticks that control the eyes. You simply just move those up, back, side to side, and depending on how you want to have Rocky displayed, you can bring the eyes to the side. Bring this one over to the side like that. You can also have fun and have Rocky's eyes completely cross-eyed as if he's just been walloped a couple of times. So it's a couple of ways that, again, you can display that. That's really cool. I like that. It's not, it's certainly not one of those things that NECA has run a lot with, the idea of moving eye components. But I definitely would love to see them do that with future releases. Kind of, I guess, the entry point to that might have been the Gizmo from the Gremlins, where they really started dabbling with posable eyes. Coloring, again, very nicely done on him. He does have a fabric trunk versus the plastic that makes up the majority of his body. Again, he's big, he's bulky. He is feeling a little hollow here. Obviously, they wouldn't be using solid plastic, nor really necessarily should they. The piece shows for itself. It doesn't really matter whether it's using a full solid plastic torso or if they're using a hollow plastic. The end result is exactly the same. Rocky looks good. Again, kind of wish he was in a black and white, but still, nonetheless, I love the look of Rocky. You know what? I think for the end of this, we're gonna just kind of make the eyes a little bit crooked. There we go. Why not? Let's go ahead and get him on a display base. I guess it doesn't really matter which display base we're going to put him on, but let's put him on the one with the 3 pegs. We'll put him like that, waiting for his trainer to join him. Next we have is Mickey. And again, a little bit smaller. Obviously, he should be a little bit smaller than Rocky, and his hand sculpted specifically to be draping on Rocky's shoulders. Even really, if you displayed Mickey on his own, let's get him on his display base, or one of the bases. Again, there's not really the means to connect the two. There's just too much of a gap between them. You couldn't also stack them together. I guess you could. You could put him on top like that. Maybe that's what they intended to do to You could either have them independent or you could have one stacking on top of the other. But I don't think that would have been the logic behind why they would have done it that way. Simply just, again, making the base the size of the two in one big piece, and then just having the proper connecting points where you can have the two figures attaching to the top of them. Mickey gets a little bit more fabric in the fabric department than that of Rocky. Again, none of the figures have any posability to them, so you're not going to get anything in the arms, the head. But Mickey's got fabric pants, trousers, if you will. He's also got himself a fabric undershirt. You can lift it up. There's not really a lot happening underneath. There's no additional sculpt or anything like that. And then he's got himself the fabric top. Right down to the fact that they've actually even put buttons, a nice little touch, putting buttons on the sides, at the very least, on one side of the jacket. No, you cannot connect the two and button it up. Just doesn't allow you to do that. And he does also have real working pockets. I think Burgess Meredith would be quite impressed. The fact that a Lipton's tea commercial maquette of him would have been translated here by NECA Toys. And again, really nice job on here. The rosier complexion here of Mickey shows very well here in plastic form. A lot of the more reddish areas in the cheeks and on the nose area. You'll probably see like a big line outlining the hairline. A lot of lines there. That's because you can also, and he does also have a fabric toque or a hat. But we can go ahead and do the exact same thing with Mickey. You can take the hairpiece off, and looking deep inside the opened socket of his head, he does also have the individual PERS joysticks in which you can, again, just reaching around, you can bend the eyes, you can move the eyes any which way that you want. If Rocky is getting knocked out and his eyes are all over the place, maybe what I would do is I would either display Mickey looking forward, as if he's telling Rocky, you know, that's the direction that you want to be swinging, or you can also have Mickey's eyes looking this way, as if he's looking at Rocky, wondering if he's actually finished the fight. Again, some nice detailing here. The eyebrows have been given several, not one shade, but 2 shades of gray. Nice wrinkling added to. You get a little bit more happening here with Mickey because he's just got the additional aged wrinkles around the eye areas of his eyes. Even like the ears, much larger ears here on Mickey. Sorry, Mickey, sorry. You probably were feeling a draft. Let's go ahead and put his hairpiece back on. The hairpiece is a little trickier on Mickey. It also helps if you face it the right way. But you kind of have to like really push it on, because if you don't, you're going to see like a big gap. There we go. Big gap where the hair doesn't line up to the head. Just kind of pushing that in place. Nice wrinkling also on his hands. It's a little old but wiser hands here on Mickey. Nothing, again, posable on it. The pants do have a little Velcro closure to them. Don't really even see why you would need to undo those, but they are there just to kind of give it that sense that it looks like an actual real trouser here on Mickey. And then again, if you want to display the two side by side, you can either use them independently with their own respected bases, or likely what, again, I will probably do is display them side by side. This works, again, a little bit better if they had only made the base just a little bit bigger, both length and width, because then you could have the two characters side by side. In this way, I'm really only using one peg for Rocky. Mickey is just free floating here on top of the base itself. Again, I kind of wish that this was a little bit bigger. Part of me also wishes that these were black and white, but again, you never know. This may be something that we will get in a future release, a black and white or grayscale version of these two maquettes, maybe as an SDCC exclusive. You never know. A little extra 411 for you about the Lipton's Brisk Iced Tea featuring the Italian Stallion. Up until Rocky Balboa being released in 2006, this Lipton's Brisk Iced Tea, in which these characters are based from, was the first time Sylvester Stallone reprised his role as Rocky since Rocky V. He was paid $1 million, if you can believe it, to lend his voice and the character for the animation, and with only 3 lines of dialogue, that averages at about $50,000 a word. Not bad for Ice-T. Part of me does wish that NECA could have released this in a grayscale format, simply put because in the commercial itself it was shot and aired in black and white. Maybe this is a precursor for what we're going to be getting with an SDCC release. If that be the case, I definitely would be inclined to pick that up because I love this look. I love the look that these two characters have here in plastic form. And at the very least, one thing could be said that for NECA to have entertained the idea of giving Maquette versions of Rocky and Mickey even a thought is pretty incredible. And for the fact that we would be looking at them now here in this review. With the Lipton's Brisk Iced Tea also doing several other characters as mentioned in the course of this review. They did the Bruce Willis from Die Hard. They did Elvis Presley. I think they also did Eminem. Also Frank Sinatra. And of course, Bruce Lee was another notable one. I don't know what it's going to be for licensing issues, if that's a big obstacle for NECA to kind of get through. But I would definitely love to see them do other versions of the characters from the Lipton's Brisk Iced Tea. Specifically, the one I'm really thinking about is Bruce Willis. I'd like to see the Bruce Willis Die Hard version of him in Maquette form. Again, I don't know what the licensing is for NECA, and I don't know how easy it would be to acquire Bruce Willis's likeness. But I'm definitely thrilled the fact that we would get ourselves a Rocky and Mickey Maquette from a commercial I remember so well. It's actually one of my favorite commercials from the 90s. Well done, NECA. Well done. I tip my virtual hat to you. If you guys are interested in picking up this set for yourself, now here's the problem. The set is limited to only 1,500 pieces. I think it's about 1,500 pieces or so. So if you are looking to pick this up for yourself, you can order them online. Or you can check your local comic book store. You might luck out for the fact that they have one available there. If not, you could see if they could probably order them in for you. I definitely would recommend it for even just fans of Rocky alone, but definitely also fans of the original Iced Tea commercial that inspired this release from NECA Toys. Well done, NECA Toys, and to that credit, I suppose as well, well done Lipton's Brisk Iced Tea for thinking outside the box. Iced Tea commercial of all things. Today we were having a look though at the new NECA release. This was the Rocky and Mickey Puppet Maquette collection. If you guys haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, what are you waiting for? A knockout blow from the Italian stallion himself? Make sure you hit that little subscribe button. That way you'll never miss a beat when it comes to future videos coming onto this channel. And speaking of videos on this channel, for the sheer volume that this fella produces and posts on a regular basis, just in case, at the very least, just in case you may have missed out of any of the videos that I've posted up to this point, the easiest fix to that is you can head over to the main page, head over to the section that says videos, scroll down, and all those beautiful thumbnails, if there's something that you may have missed along the way, feel free to check them out and let me know in the comments section of that video. I always like reading some new comments. We're going to be having a look at some more NECA goodies in the coming videos, so for fans of NECA, you should be quite excited to hear that. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. See you next time.